Hello, and welcome back. Okay, Annette, more questions for our good friend Pedro. Okay, now ask Pedro if he works in a big organization.
Do you work in a big organization?
No, I don't.
Ask him if he works in a small company.
Do you work in a small company?
I think it's a medium-sized company.
Medium-sized.
Sized company.
A medium-sized company. Ante la duda, di medium-size. Size, no sized. Para facilitar, porque cuando hablamos los nativos, aunque escribiendo decimos medium-sized company, when we speak with a medium-sized company. So you work in a medium-sized company. Ask him how many people work in his company.
How many people do they work?
No.
How many people work in your company?
Company.
I think 1,000.
Ask him how long he has been working in his present company.
How long have you been working in your present company?
19 years.
Four.
I've been working there for 19 years.
For 19 years, okay. Ask him if it's a long way from his house.
It's a long way from...
Is it?
Is it a long way from your house?
Yes, it is.
Ask me what time it is.
What time is it?
Ask me.
What time is it?
I'm not going to tell you yet. Ask me if it's 5 o'clock.
Is it 5 o'clock?
No, it's not. Ask me if it's 6 o'clock.
Is it 6 o'clock?
No, it's not. Ask me if it's 7 o'clock.
It's 7. Is it 7 o'clock?
Okay. No, it's not. Ask me what time it is.
What time is it?
All right. Okay, good. Now, ask him if it's far from his house.
Is it far from your house?
Yes, it is.
Ask him how long it takes him to drive every day to work.
How long does it take you
To drive to work?
to drive to work?
It takes me 35 minutes.
35 minutes. And ask him if he goes alone.
Do you go alone?
Yes, I do.
Okay, ask him if he works in the center of Madrid.
Do you work in the center of Madrid?
No, I don't.
Ask him if he works in the outskirts of Madrid.
Do you work in the outskirts of Madrid?
Yes, I do.
Ask him if he has always been working in the outskirts of Madrid.
Have you always been working in the outskirts of Madrid?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Ask him if he used to work in the center of Madrid. Did you?
Did you used to work in the center of Madrid?
Not the center.
Not in the center.
No.
Ask him if he has always been doing the same job.
Have you always been doing the same job?
Yes, I have.
All right. Ask him if he's getting a little tired of his job.
Are you getting a little tired of your job?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Ask him how long. Tell him to ask me how long I've been doing my current job.
Ask him how long he's been doing his current job.
How long have you been doing your current job?
Job?
Job.
For 35 years. Tell her to ask me if I'm getting a little tired of it.
Ask him if he's getting a little tired of it.
Are you getting a little tired of it?
No, I'm not. He's only been working in his job for 19 years. I've been working in mine for 35. I'm getting tired of certain mistakes students make. Ask me if you make the typical mistakes.
Do I do the typical mistakes?
Ask me if you make the typical mistakes.
Do I make the typical mistakes?
Eso. En inglés, los mistakes, los errores se maken, no se doen. Okay. No, you don't make the typical mistakes. Ask me why.
Why I don't make...
Pregúntamelo.
Do I do the typical mistakes?
¿Por
Do
qué
I
do-
make?
The typical mistakes? Repeat.
Why do I make the typical mistakes?
You don't. I said you don't make the typical mistakes. Ask me why.
Why do I...
Are you having problems
Yes, I have
formulating
a big
the negative
problem.
formulating the negative question? All right. Now, ask me if I like potatoes.
Do you like potatoes?
No, I don't. Ask me why.
Why do you doesn't like potatoes?
No, I'm sorry. Well, so ask me if I live. Ask me if I live in Barcelona.
Do you live in Barcelona?
No, I don't. Ask me why.
Why don't you live in Barcelona?
Very good, because I live in Madrid. Okay, good. Now, you don't make the typical mistakes. Ask me why.
Why don't I make the typical mistakes?
Very good. One more time.
Why don't I make the typical mistakes?
What does she want to know?
She wants to know why she doesn't make the typical mistakes.
You don't make the typical mistakes of a Spanish learner because first, you're from Argentina, and second, you're first language, I think, is German, not Spanish. What's your first language?
German.
What language did you speak at home when you were growing up?
German.
What language did you learn first?
German.
When did you start to learn Spanish?
When I got to school.
Okay. So how old were you? Ask her how old she was when she started school.
How old were you when you started school?
6 years.
I was?
I was 6 years old.
Ask her why she didn't start when she was 5.
Why didn't you start when you were 5?
Because in that time, at that time, it wasn't normal to go to school so early.
So soon.
So soon.
So early sería por la mañana, muy temprano.
So soon.
So soon. And ask her if she started in kindergarten.
Did you start in kindergarten?
No, I don't.
Repeat the question.
Did you start in kindergarten?
No, I don't.
Repeat the question.
Did you start in kindergarten?
No, I didn't.
Oh, please, fantastic. Well done. I'm proud of you. Okay. Qué orgullo. Did you start in kindergarten, yes or no?
No, I don't. No, I didn't.
Tu corazón. Ya no puedo.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now, did you live in Argentina at that time?
Yes, I lived in Argentina at that time.
Bueno, no hace falta repetir la respuesta. Did you live in Argentina at that time, yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Good. Okay, ask her if she was born in Argentina.
Were you born in Argentina?
Yes, I was.
Good. Ask her if she has any brothers and sisters.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have.
Repeat the question.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do.
Ask her how many.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
3.
Well,
1 brother and 2 sisters.
ahí está. Es que la palabra hermanos, que cubre varón y hembra, se dice en inglés, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Se puede decir siblings, pero suena extraño. Siblings is more for animals. Los hermanos de un cachorro de león, pues dice siblings, okay? How many brothers and sisters? Y la respuesta siempre precisas. 2 hermanos y una hermana. Or you always specify. So how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
Ask her if any of them live in Spain.
Do any of them live in Spain?
No, they don't.
Ask her if any of them live in Germany.
Do any of them live in Germany?
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Okay.
No, they don't.
Ask her where they live.
Where do they live then?
They live in Buenos Aires.
They live in Buenos Aires. Ask her how often she sees them.
How often do you see them?
Good. Repeat, please. Está bien.
How often do you see them?
Once a year.
Okay. Ask her if she gets along with her brothers and sisters.
Do you get along with your brothers and sisters?
Yes, of course.
Hey, of course, some people don't, okay?
Well,
it's not
for me,
logical, okay? It depends, okay? And ask her if they speak German to each other.
Do they speak German?
No, ella incluida, los hermanos.
Do you speak German to each other?
It depends.
Ask her what it depends on.
What does it depend on?
Okay, good. Perfecto, pero
What does it depend on?
Good. Ahora enlaza. Escúchame. Escucha. Listen to me. What does it depend on? Don Corleone, Don. What does it depend on?
What does this depend on? Depend on.
What does it?
What does it depend on?
Good. What does it depend on? Depend on.
Depend on.
Okay.
When we are with my parents, we speak German together.
To each other.
To each other. And when we are alone or among our friends, we speak Spanish.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. If you have dinner, okay, not with your husband, because your husband, okay, just you and your brothers and your sister alone in a restaurant, what language do you speak to each other?
German, so nobody can understand us.
Okay. Okay, so you're making my job difficult. Okay, now, the following day, you have a barbecue lunch in the garden of your house. Just you and your brothers and sister. What language do you speak?
German and Spanish.
So you mix both.
Yes, that's not good.
Yes, it is. My children do the same.
It sounds awfully.
Awful.
Awful.
No, it doesn't. It sounds interesting. Because always you go to the most efficient communication way.
Yes.
Okay, now, ask Annette how old she was when she came to Spain.
How old were you How old were you when you came to Spain?
I was 30 years old.
Ask her what her first impression was of Spain.
What was your first impression when you came to Spain?
I liked it.
Ask her if she still likes it.
Do you still like it?
Yes, a lot.
Ask her how long she's been here.
How long have you been here?
For 15 years.
Ask her if she has any children.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I do.
Ask me if I have any children.
Do you have any children?
Yes, I do. Now, ask her how many children she has.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 girls.
You have 2 girls. Ask them how old they are. Ask her how old they are.
How old are they?
Good. Escucha como lo digo yo. How old are? Paul Dark.
How old are they?
How old are they?
How old are they?
How old are they? How old are they?
How old are they?
How old are they?
They are 16 and 14 years old.
Ask her if they get along.
Do they get along?
And now more than years ago.
So ask her if they used to fight a lot.
Did they used to fight a lot?
Yes, a little bit.
Ask her if they still fight sometimes.
Do they still fight sometimes?
Yes, of course.
Ask her if they had a big fight yesterday.
Did they have a big fight yesterday?
Big fight.
Big fight. Did they have a big fight yesterday?
Not a big fight, but they are always in trouble, you say?
No, in trouble, no. They're always fighting.
They are always fighting.
All right.
About, you say about?
Depende.
Sobre pavadas.
About silly things.
About silly things.
All right, good. And ask Annette if she tries to stop the fight.
And do you try to stop the fight?
Sometimes.
All
I
right.
do the mistake.
I make the mistake
Sometimes I make the mistake.
of trying to stop the fight.
Yes.
Okay, and ask her if her daughters speak German.
Do your daughters speak German?
Yes, they do.
Ask her if they speak Spanish with an Argentine accent.
Do they speak Spanish with an Argentine accent?
Good.
No.
¿Quieres repetir un momento?
Do they speak Spanish with an Argentine
Vale también. Argentine or Argentine?
accent?
No, they are gallegas puras.
Gallegas means Spanish
Uh-huh.
for Argentine.
Yes.
There are three possible adjectives with reference to Argentina. The country is Argentina. And the 3 adjectives are Argentine, Argentine, and Argentinian. I think the British say Argentine, but I don't know. I personally say Argentine, always. But I've heard a lot of Americans say Argentinian. Argentiniano. Okay, no, Argentino. Okay. Now, ask her if she grew up in Buenos Aires.
Did you grow up in Buenos Aires?
Yes, I did.
Ask her if she likes that city.
Do you like that city?
Yes, a lot.
All right. And ask her if she would like to go back there after she retires.
Would you like to go back there when you retired?
When you can?
When you retire?
Good.
If my husband likes to go, of course.
Ask her if her husband grew up in Buenos Aires.
Did your husband grow up in Buenos Aires?
No, he didn't.
Ask her where he grew up.
Where did he grow up?
In Germany.
All right. Now, ask me where I grew up.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the United States. Now, ask her how old her husband was when they met.
How old was your husband when you first met?
¿Tiene un marido o dos?
One, I
Okay.
think. How old was your husband when you first met?
19 years old.
He was 19. La palabra first sobra. Porque cuando dices when you met, siempre es first time. You understand?
No.
Cuando os conocisteis por vez primera? No, cuando os conocisteis.
When you met is the first time only.
It's always the first time. Now, the verb to meet has other meanings. ¿A qué hora podemos quedar? Quedar con alguien es to meet. ¿A qué hora podemos quedar? Mire, yo puedo quedar mañana I can meet. Okay, so it's a different conception of meet. It means reunirse con alguien. Puedo reunir contigo mañana a las 3. I can meet with you is meet with. Pero cuando decimos we can meet. El with no se usa. Okay, but to meet is conocer por primera vez. Y después de meet ya entra know. After you meet a person, you know a person. And you don't meet the person again for the rest of your life. You meet with the person. Vamos a quedar en la esquina, en el bar de la esquina, y de ahí vamos al cine. We'll meet at the corner bar, and then we'll go to the cinema. All right. When did you meet your, for example, voy a montar una historia. Ask me when I met my wife.
When did you meet your wife?
I met my wife in 1975. Ask me how I met her.
How did you meet her?
I met her because I met with a group of friends and she was in the group. Do you understand?
Yes.
And I met her when I met with a group of friends. Ask me where we met.
Where did you meet?
With my friends, we met on the corner of Princesa and Gran Via, for example. Well, yeah, it's not a corner, okay. But in any case, and in the group, my wife was there and I met my wife. Ask me if that's a true story.
Is that a true story?
No, it's not. Telling it to ask me where I met my wife.
Asking him where he met his wife.
Where did you meet your wife?
I met her in a language school. Tell him to ask me what she was doing in the language school.
Ask him what she was doing when she met in that school.
Well, no, tell her to ask me what she was doing in that language school.
Ask him what she was doing in that language school.
Good.
What was she doing in that language school?
She was working as the afternoon receptionist. And tell him to ask me what she was doing in the morning.
Ask him what she was doing in the morning.
What was she doing in the morning?
She was studying. All right, she was studying. All right? But we're talking about Annette now, not about me, okay? Now, ask Annette why they came to Spain.
Why did you come to Spain?
Because of my husband's work.
Husband's job. Ask her if her husband works in the insurance business.
Does your husband work in the
insurance
business?
No, he doesn't.
Ask her if he works in the public sector.
Does he work in the public sector?
No, he doesn't.
Ask her if he works in a multinational company.
Does he work in a
Does he
work in a multinational company?
Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Tiene que ser un sexto sentido. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Does. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Ask her if he works in a bank.
Does he work in a bank?
Yes, he does.
Ask her if he works in a foreign bank.
Does he work in a foreign bank?
Bank.
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay, good. So the bank is partially Spanish and partially?
German.
Okay, good. And ask her if he was working in the same bank before coming to Spain.
Was he working in the same bank before coming here?
Bank.
Bank.
Bank. All right. De hecho, yo digo bank, pero es muy tejano eso. Bank, como like first letter A, bake, bank. Hacer un banco al horno, sería in tejano, I'm going to bake the bank. Repeat?
I'm going to bake
To bake.
a bank.
But normally we don't bake banks. There are a few banks I would like to bake, but nevertheless, okay. Not hers, okay. Now, your wife, I don't know what bank she works in, but we have a lot of banking people here in this class today. Now, so I don't remember. Ask her if her husband worked in the same bank in Argentina.
Did he work in the same bank in Argentina?
Yes, he did.
All right. Ask her if he requested the move to Spain.
Did he request the move to Spain?
No, he didn't.
Ask her if the bank suggested that he move to Spain.
Did the bank suggest the move to Spain?
Yes, they suggest him to come to Spain.
No, escucha, ahora voy a usar el subjuntivo en inglés, el subjuntivo tipo latino. They suggested that he come. No, he comes. They suggested that he come to Spain. No se dice en inglés suggest to come. Suggest, insist, and uno más. Insist, suggest, and recommend. Se usa el subjuntivo. Let me tell this. Look, quiero que vengas. I want you to come. Quiero que ella venga. I want her to come. Quiero que él venga. I want him to come. Me gustaría que viniese. I would like him to come. Me gustaría que ella viniera. I would like her to come. Insisto siempre en que ella venga. I always insist her to come. No. I always insist that she come. Fijaos que no he puesto la S famosa de la tercera persona singular. Es tercera persona del singular del subjuntivo en inglés. Sí existe el subjuntivo en inglés, pero solo con exist, suggest, recommend, and maybe one or two more I can't think of offhand. De momento, okay? I insisted that he come to this program yesterday. And yesterday I called Annette and I insisted that she come. And in the case of her husband, 20 years ago or 19 years ago, was working in a German bank in Argentina. And the bank approached her husband and said, we would like you to work in Spain. So really, the bank suggested that he come to Spain. Or maybe they forced him to come. You don't know. We'll find out in a minute. Okay, ask Annette if her husband came to Spain because he accepted the offer.
Did your husband come to Spain because he accepted the offer?
Yes, he did.
Ask her if it was really an offer.
Was really an offer?
Was it?
Was it really an offer?
Yes, it was.
Ask her if he was forced to come to Spain.
Was he forced to come to Spain?
No, he wasn't.
And ask him if he said yes immediately.
Did he say yes immediately?
He asked me
First. All right. Ask her what her first impression was.
What was your first impression?
I go where you go.
Yeah, but ask her if she wanted to come to Spain.
Did you want to come to Spain?
Yes, of course.
You did?
Yes.
All right. Ask her how old her children were at that time.
How old were your children at that time?
I hadn't children.
I didn't have any
I
children.
didn't have any children at that time.
Okay. Se suele decir they hadn't been born yet. They hadn't been?
They hadn't been born yet.
Okay. Ask her if they were married at that time.
Were you married at the time?
Yes, we were.
Ask her how long they had been married when they decided to come to Spain.
How long had you been married
When you
came to Spain?
When you decided to come.
When you decided to come to Spain?
1 year.
We
were married for...
Repeat the question. Escucha bien la estructura.
How long were you?
Me has
How
cambiado la
long
estructura.
had you been married before you came to Spain?
All right.
Deciding to come to Spain.
To come.
To come to Spain.
Okay, ahora, lento y claro.
Okay. How long had you been married before you decided?
No, when you decided.
When you decided to come to Spain.
I have been married.
No. Una vez más, a ver si...
How long had you been married?
Had.
Yes.
¿Cuánto tiempo habías estado casado? Literalmente, llevabais casados cuando decidiste venir. How long had you been married when you decided to come to Spain?
We had been married for 1 year.
For 1 year. Okay. And ask her if it was difficult for her to adapt to Spanish life.
Was it difficult for you to adapt to Spanish life?
No, it wasn't.
Ask her if her husband had trouble. Ask her if her husband had trouble adapting.
Did your husband have trouble adapting?
No, he didn't.
Ask her if they would have trouble adapting to Argentina if they moved back.
Would you have trouble in adapting?
No me metas in.
Would you have trouble adapting to living
to Argentina?
To Argentina if you had to go back there?
Not at all.
No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't.
Ask her if she has ever lived in Germany.
Have you ever lived in Germany?
Yes, I have.
Ask her how long she lived in Germany.
How long did you live in Germany?
In general, for 4 years.
Ask her if she had trouble adapting when she went there.
Did you have trouble adapting when you were there?
When you went there.
When you went. Okay.
More or less.
Ask her how long it took him. Ask her how long it took her to adapt to German life.
How long did it take you to adapt to Germany life?
To German.
To German life, yes.
Never.
You can't. It's impossible.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. All right, well, we have to go. Okay, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too.
We've learned a lot about Pedro, his wife, and his son, and a lot about your daughters and your just general information. And I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been very, very informative, but using the structure of the English language. Okay, but I will come back in just a few minutes. So you have 5 minutes, and I will see you quickly. All right, so don't go too far. Bye.